In this video, we're going to talk about how to test yourself for a leg length discrepancy. We're going to show you a simple test for a difference in leg lengths, and we're going to talk about how you can adjust your training to make sure having a leg length discrepancy doesn't hurt you and harm you in the long run. And we're going to talk about what you can do to fix a functional leg length discrepancy, which is a leg length discrepancy that isn't really caused by your bone. So first things first, if you think you have a leg length discrepancy, it's probably because a chiropractor or somebody told you, oh, the reason why your hip is higher is because you've got a leg length discrepancy. And what they're saying is basically that the bone on one side is effectively much longer in the leg and is causing that hip to ride up high. Now, that sometimes may be true. I have seen that with some clients, and sometimes it's just because you have a functional difference, which means that the muscles around the hip joint and around the pelvis and the spine are holding you in a position that is keeping you functionally asymmetrical and makes it look like one leg is longer than the other. So we want to be able to differentiate between the functional leg length discrepancy and the actual structural leg length discrepancy. So here's how we can do it real simple. When you do this test, you're probably going to want to have a friend help you make sure everything is in line. It's not a complicated test. Anybody who can read a ruler will be able to help you with this. So basically, you're going to lie down and make sure that your feet are even. You want your heels to be even. You don't want to make the line up with your toes because some people have one foot that's a little bit longer than the other. That's pretty common. So make sure the heels are lined up. Use something that's going to keep them lined up. Your knees are bent, and then you're going to lie down. You're going to use something flat, so it could be a ruler, it could be a hardcover book, it could be just a stretching pad that has a straight line on it. And what you're going to do is put that straight thing on top of both knees and see whether the ruler or that thing is level. If you see, for example, that the ruler or the book is higher on one side than the other, then you now know you very likely have some sort of a leg length discrepancy. If you see that the book or ruler is level, you're probably fine. Your tibia and your femur are probably the same length. If you want to know whether it's the lower leg or the upper leg that's longer because you're just curious like that, then what you can do is pay attention to whether the knee that's higher is closer to the face or if it's closer to the foot. So, for example, if I effectively have a longer tibia, meaning my lower leg, then what's going to happen is I'm adding length to my tibia. It's going to make my knee be closer to my face and higher than the other knee. If I have a femur that is effectively longer, it's going to be putting the knee higher and more towards the feet. So that's going to mean my femur is effectively longer. Whether it's the femur or the tibia, frankly, probably doesn't matter that much unless you have plans of going in and shaving down the bones, which I personally would never, ever, ever do because it's not that big a deal. And there's just simple things that you can do in your life to help work around this leg length discrepancy. Assuming you have a structural leg length discrepancy and one leg is actually longer than the other, then you're going to want to adjust how you train your body just a little bit. You can still be doing things like deadlifting or squatting. Those are all fine. The thing you want to pay attention to, though, is that you're not exclusively doing things like that. Any exercise where you're making both legs do exactly the same thing and your feet are on the same level is going to mean you're training in a subtle asymmetry, and you may make your existing asymmetry a bigger problem for the rest of your body. For example, if you were doing hip hinges, deadlifts, and you have one leg that's effectively longer than the other, when you do your hinge, you're going to be training in a bit of a rotation of your pelvis. And as you do that over time, you're going to be affecting spinal muscles, you're going to be affecting all of your hip muscles, you're going to be training your body to get all twisted up. And that's not something you want to do over and over and over again. So to deal with that, you want to know which side is longer and pay attention to how your body compensates for it. And then make sure you are doing exercises that are single leg that help train out that asymmetry. So for example, if I am constantly, with a right leg that's longer, if I'm constantly doing deadlifts and I am constantly adding this twist into my body, I'm going to want to do things that undo that. This motion with a longer right leg means I'm going to be getting more adduction on this hip and most likely internal rotation, unless I cheat in a different way. If I get external rotation, maybe I'll have to do something different. But basically, if I notice that I get a lot of adduction and internal rotation on this leg, I'm going to want to train extra abduction and external rotation on this leg. So, a simple way to do that would be things like a clamshell weighted exercise to get the clamshells going, maybe throw an ankle weight on here to build up strength for that. And then even doing things where I'm just really focused, even like doing a split squat, but maybe even keeping it more open rather than a completely square split squat. That's another suitable option. You can just be creative about how you do that. And then when you're training your body for strength, maybe instead of doing squats and deadlifts, maybe just switch to doing single leg versions of those exercises, right? You can do split squats, you will still get strong legs. You can do single leg deadlifts, you will still get strong legs and hips from doing them like that, and you'll avoid training yourself too strongly into that pattern where your longer leg is throwing off your whole body. Now, what if you discover that your bones are not actually different lengths and you do the test and it's actually just a functional leg length discrepancy? Well, then you want to start looking at what muscles in your body are functioning incorrectly. A lot of times people's inner thigh muscles will be a problem. I'll link to some exercises you can do for your inner thighs. You'll probably find that one side is tighter / weaker than the other side. So for example, if it looks like you have one hip higher than the other, we'll stick with my right side being higher. It's going to often mean that this right leg is stuck in adduction. It's more pulled in towards the midline. That's going to mean that the abductors on this side are probably weak. The adductors, the inner thigh muscles, are probably just locked short and they don't know how to lengthen and be strong at a longer position. It could also mean that muscles on the other side are weak. So it could be that the muscles that help stabilize the pelvis on the left side are really weak, in which case maybe I'd want to do an exercise where I'm elevated on the right side. I'm trying to use these muscles to create abduction, and muscles even over here on the side, on the abs, to just lift that side of the pelvis up, right? I can focus more on the glutes on the right side to help create that abduction, or maybe I need to focus on the abs to create that lift. It could be both, it could be one, it could be the other. The key is to be paying attention so that your body is gradually being trained out of its asymmetry, so that you're picking exercises that get you away from what's functionally a leg length discrepancy. The thing you really don't want to do if you have a leg length discrepancy is just pretend that it's fine and you don't have to do anything about it. You want to be paying attention to how your body moves and make adjustments. Try to train your body to be as symmetrical as you can get it, as functionally good on both sides as you can make it. Yes, we're all right-handed or left-handed, so we all have a dominant side, but it's still a good idea to make sure that our habits and our predilections don't turn into problems. Just imagine if you are a baseball pitcher and you are constantly throwing and throwing and throwing the same way over and over and over again, you will eventually end up with a body that's highly optimized for one specific pattern, and you will not be optimized for doing anything else. What you want to do is make sure that you don't allow things to get so out of whack that muscles on one side are super built up and you feel like you're in pain all the time. You want your muscles to be balanced side to side around the joints so that you're level, symmetrical, and comfortable. I hope you now understand how to test for a leg length discrepancy and that you are no longer so afraid of the idea of having a leg length discrepancy. If you're looking for programs to help you train your body safely, be sure to check out uprighthealth.com/DIY, as well as our Upright Live program at uprighthealth.com/live. If you like this video, click the like button, drop me a comment down below to let me know what you liked about it. And if you didn't like this video, drop me a comment and let me know how I can better serve you, sir. As always, I hope you remember that pain sucks. Life shouldn't.